quickly, we can have a question. Right, what the screen says. Just wait back up from the post. Okay, so very warm welcome, dearest Sapna, to WEF Bangalore Digital Summit 2020. And my name is Deepa Atreya. I'm your moderator here. I have been working with children for over the last 20 years, and it's a pleasure to have you with us in this session. And we're going to make it, I'm sure it's going to be a firecracker of a session. So for people who are watching this, just to give you a heads up on Sapna Sood, who is the speaker of today's the session right now, and the topic for today for this particular session is artificial intelligence in online retailing, AI in online retailing. Sapna Sood is a very accomplished digital marketing and analytics professional with over a decade of professional experience. In fact, to be very precise, 11 years of experience in consulting with big companies like Google, IBM, Accenture, Amazon, L'Oreal, Pepsi. And she also works with startups and mid-sized companies. She is a Prince 2 practitioner and Six Sigma certified professional as well. And she has done a lot of research projects on consumer behavior. And it's a pleasure to have you with us, Sapna, today. And yes, artificial intelligence in online retail. Online retail per se, it has become the biggest buzzword right now. It has been picking up for quite a while, but now pandemic and post-pandemic, I think that is going to be the way forward. And when I heard this topic of artificial intelligence in online retail, a lot of questions popped in my mind, but I first want to hear you out. And what is it that you have to say with your rich, varied experience in consumer behavior? Please go ahead and let us know what your take is on artificial intelligence in online retailing. And I would probably then budge in again to ask you a few questions. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Deepa. That was a lovely introduction. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening for all the people who are joining and watching this session live right now. It is indeed a great pleasure to be joined with the Women Economic Forum and to speak about a topic that I'm very passionate about, and I can resonate with it, which is AI in retail. So one of the perks of working as a consultant in big companies is that you get to work on different industries, and you are working on different projects which belong to different industries. So you get an idea where a particular industry is doing good at and where they are not doing good at. And if I have to quote, one of the reasons why I selected AI in retail specifically is because the potential is huge. AI in India is growing tremendously. We see huge scope in India when we compare it to some of the big countries like US and China. India is still doing very good amidst all this COVID time also. And the second reason is that retail is already doing a good profit, but if they include AI into it, it would just take it to another level. It would take the whole profit, it would take the whole consumer behavior to another level. So if we go by a report which was shared by McKinsey, the different companies or the different industries that are actually investing in artificial intelligence, AI is investing only, retail is investing only 19% of its total budget in AI. And when you compare it to certain other industries like technology and communication, they are spending 32%. Automotive is spending 28%. Media and entertainment is spending 22% again, but retail, it's only 19%. So the number is really low considering that we have huge scope, we have huge opportunities here. Now, if we look into a few stats here, I'll just share a few stats with you that will just help you in understanding how exactly is retail performing in Indian economy and is how retail is performing in India itself. So if we look into the stats which were shared by emarketer.com, E-com sales in India climbed to almost 31%, which is almost like 32.7 billion USD. And this sale, for this particular research, the sale were considered only from Flipkart, Amazon, and Paytm malls. So we are not even considering other e-commerce sectors like Myntra or maybe any other e-com platform which is not that big as Amazon. And this percentage is bound to increase to 41.6 in 2022. And the e-commerce sector in India will be worth almost 71.94 billion USD. So that's huge. E-commerce is booming in India, and it tends to be better because of the better internet, the cheaper smartphones. It's growing. But now, if you'll just marry this thought with the initial thought that I shared, 19% investment in AI, it's very low. And if you want to leverage the whole benefits of introducing your AI into retail, it'll give you better profit, it'll give you better revenue. So I'll just touch point some of the benefits that AI can bring to retail companies and how it can help them to give better consumer behavior. Just to make it this conversation for everybody who's not even from the technical background, what is AI?
I'm one among them. So please, yes.
So what is AI? If I simply have to put in simple words, it is the intelligence which is demonstrated by the machine. So when we see AI, we mean a number of technologies that we are using, including machine learning, including predictive analytics, all the technical jazz that we are using in the back end. We use all that to collect the data, and understand that data, and then predict and forecast information, and help businesses build up data-driven decision. So that decision that any business is taking, it's just not any, mini, miny, mo. It has to be like a proper, solid, robust decision that can just reduce the perceived risk, and people and the companies and the entrepreneurs, they are more confident of their decision. So this is one of the reasons that we want to include AI in the retail. I'll just share an example with you. So imagine that you see an outfit you like on Pinterest or maybe Facebook, and then you're clicking on it. And once you click on it, you are being taken to a retailer storefront where you can actually personalize that look to your individual style. This is when retailers see the true power of AI and how it can directly impact their bottom line. There are many companies like L'Oreal who have specific website, where you have to upload your pictures or maybe just take a live, a live photograph there. And then you can apply all the shades of makeup on your face. Or maybe if you have checked, Lenskart is doing that pretty good. You can update your photograph there and you can see the different shades that would look good to you. So you don't have to burn your money to buy a product, and then see, okay, this won't look good at me. You can actually see that real time, and you can actually give your consumer a good service, which they actually want. They don't have to burn their money to buy anything. They can check it online. They don't have to wait for the order to reach them. Another very good benefit that I see of AI is price optimization. So you can see, through AI, you can see like what kind of loyalty programs or maybe what kind of discounts you should give to a particular person. For example, I'm a person and I am buying a particular jacket, or not buying, I'm just window shopping online and I want to buy a particular product, maybe a jacket or something. And AI will track all my behavior. It'll just see that, okay, Sapna is buying, she has looked into a few products, a few jackets on different platforms, maybe Myntra, maybe Amazon, and she's really keen on buying that. So as a company, you will get that notification in your dashboard that, this particular buyer, he's really interested in your product. And that's the right time when you should share a maybe discount or maybe any other promo code or something, that would just reduce the price and just makes me more willing to buy that product. So that kind of live tweaking that you have to do to your marketing campaigns, that could be done with the AI. So you don't have to like create a bulk, 1 month or 1 year program for your advertisement and everything, and then just forget it. You'll have to be there at your foot all the time. moving on, there are many other examples that I want to share. I had like a good number of examples added here. Wait a minute. So I don't know if you've heard of Pepper Robot. It was a robot which was built in 2010, and it was a collaboration between a Japanese company and a French robotic manufacturer. And they built this robot, which was a humanoid robot, and it could, the whole purpose of introducing that robot was to actually greet the clients. So it was just like, hi, how are you? Are you lost? So giving that warmth in that communication, and this actually increased the foot traffic to that particular store to almost 70%, which is huge. I mean, you just create a robot and that's what it does to your foot traffic. There's another big company who's working a lot in this area, which is IBM, and they have a tool, IBM Watson. It's a great tool, and they've also built a project on it, Project Web It, which is of a fashion assistant. So if you are on a particular website and you are eyeing on any of the dresses or any of the thing that you want to buy, that robot would actually have a conversation with. So it will just help you. No, it would be like a proper conversation that, I think black color won't look good at you. So why don't you try red? See, this is a better color, or this is a better priced product, or, it'll have that communication thing going on. So you won't be left alone to, while you're buying a particular product, there'll be a conversation, we'll get a constant feedback from, and it won't be in a very, there are like two ways of conducting a communication. It's just like feeding you. It won't be that kind of conversation. It would be a to and fro kind of conversation where you're speaking to a robot, and robot is actually helping you understand, what could be good. Sapna, I think that this particular product has better reviews, so maybe you want to, try this product. So it will give me better options, and as a buyer I have my option to either go with what he is suggesting, or go with my own mind. But at least that thing is still there, that you are not alone in this journey. A robot is there to assist you. And again, when I say robot, it does not have to be monotonous. So companies are actually investing a lot to make this as human as possible, because at times people do get a little awkward that, okay, I don't want to speak to a machine, because machine won't understand the feelings, the emotions that I have before, behind buying this product. So we as a company are trying our best. I mean, all the companies are trying our best to make it as human as possible, and take it to another level, so that it's a every buying activity that you're doing online, it has a lot, especially when it comes to online and all the digital space. There's a lot of risk that's involved, because we don't know, we just see the product, we have not felt it, we have not touched it, we have not seen it upside down. So there's a lot of risk, a perceived risk, which every consumer has back of his mind. So in order to reduce that perceived risk, companies are trying every bit, whether it's highlighting all the e-worm which is being shared online, or such kind of fashion assistants which are made online, so that it could help finally consumer to make that purchase and purchase decision. And apart from this, I think, like I said before, it could you can make use of many analytics related techniques to determine your high lifetime value customers, maybe create some retention programs, some acquisition programs, and rebuilding the marketing strategy. You can make use of prescriptive analysis to identify who your most profitable customers are. And with the whole thing, the whole thing of this thing in India which is going on, that you have to boost the local products, it could actually help you in that. If you have a particular store in a particular geography, maybe you want to create a promo, or maybe a discount only for people who are there in your nearby area. So that kind of tweaking with your marketing strategy is what AI gives you. It will give you yeah, you're saying something?
No, please go ahead. We just have another 2 minutes to wrap up, and then probably I'll ask you a few questions.
Sure. You'll also get a complete 360-degree view of what is actually bringing your customers to your store. Like maybe they're coming to your store from Facebook, from Pinterest. So you'll see where your target audience is. maybe if you have more customers coming from Facebook, you can move your budget a little more to Facebook because you're getting good number of conversions from that site. So there's high chance that you're going to save your money. You're not going to waste your money because you have all this data to back up all your decisions. And apart from marketing, I think a lot of help you can get is into supply chain also. AI can help in understanding, if your product is getting over and the inventory, you don't have much products in the inventory, it will be highlighted. You can again refill your inventory. And if I have to summarize, you can deliver an end-to-end process for creating an overall return efficiently by identifying the different items that are profitable to you and the ones which are not giving you that much profit. So you can make that data-driven decision based on the kind of behavior that you're seeing online.
Okay. That's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing. In fact, supply chain is a totally new perspective because the moment you hear AI, the first thing that comes to your mind is marketing, but even the back end in terms of supply chain is totally.
So automotive is very huge when it comes to supply chain and all these things. So AI can be used for different purposes.
Okay.
For retail, I'm stressing more on marketing because you get to understand the consumer behavior and the price of the product is very low. For example, if you're buying a jacket, it would be like 1,000 rupees maximum, or it would start from 1,000, and the price is very low. But if you speak of automotive, the price is really high. It's in lakhs and crores. And you actually want to go there, visit and touch and feel and
experience
do all the homework, right?
Right.
At that time, AI, automotive industry is using mostly for the back end work, where they have to supply chain and all those things. Marketing, again, they are spending a lot in programmatic marketing, but again, that's a form of advertisement, not like the one that I'm rightly telling you right now.
Right. So Sapna, thanks for letting us know, and for people like me who are absolutely wondering what AI is all about. And in fact, I'm not yet taken on completely to retail marketing. Online marketing, because I want to online purchase rather, because I want to go touch, feel, especially clothes, for my size, I want to try it. One quick question before we wrap up this session that comes to my mind as a consumer. The moment I hear AI, I also hear data privacy. Hi, Zina. Hi, Maria. We'll just wind up the session and start your session. So just give us another 5 minutes. So one thing that comes to my mind is data privacy. With too many analytics happening in the background, and especially in online retailing where cyber safety is a big issue. How do we tackle this? Is this one of the reasons why companies, as you started your statement by saying only 19% of investment has gone into AI as far as online retail marketing is concerned? Is this one of the reasons for that?
So I'll just clear a few things here. The data privacy thing that you're speaking about, it's when we are advertising on online platforms. For example, we have created an account on Facebook or maybe an account on Google. So you are being given that freedom to actually not share any of your data. You can make tweaks to your setting. Now you have to be an intelligent customer. More
as well.
More education has to be there. People should understand that how can I not share my data. That needs to be known, and what limitation. So you have to tweak your settings. Once you tweak that, every company will give you data. Take your data only when you allow them to take.
Okay,
they won't use your data. For example, Google is not using your data into in a very negative way. They are using it in a very positive way to give you the best experience. For example, if I don't have your data, I don't know what Deepa wants to buy. How do I show her my advertisement? If I give you any random advertisement, you won't like it. You'll feel all pissed off. Like, what am I watching? I don't want this product. So if there's a boy and I'm showing her all the girls, clothing and everything related to girls, it won't make sense to him. And same goes for the girl. If I'm showing them all the boys' merchandise, it won't make sense to them. But this is what I want them, people to understand, that you need to tweak the settings of your profiles and do a little more of intelligent buying, like incognito mode and all those things. But yes, wherever necessary, wherever you could share some data, it could actually make your life easier because you would not be bombarded with random advertisement. It will be very logical, very what exactly do you want? That kind of admin. For example, if you go to a website, Amazon, you scroll some products and then again you see those products in some other website. So that's your behavior, right?
Right,
You
right.
would have done that
So
in
we want to compare.
incognito. Yeah. If you would have done that in incognito mode, then there's no way for Amazon to track you. So they would again be like, won't be able to show you that
Right, right. So probably the key here would be a lot of awareness. AI in online retail could be the way forward, and maybe it's the next best, biggest opportunity available, says Sapna. It was great interacting with you, Sapna. Thank you so much. And yes, thanks to you, I read up a little more about online retail and AI, and I got to know more about it. It is indeed a pleasure to have you with us. And thank you for being there. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. And right now, we, on behalf of the WF Bangalore Digital team, would like to confer you with an award called the Iconic Woman of Creating a Better World for All Award for 2020. This
Thank
is
you
our
so much.
most welcome. This is our small gesture of love that we would like to show to you. And of course, we would like to actually come and give you a hug and give you this award, but then it's okay. This is going to be the new normal. So you're going to receive an official email on this, and we'll take this forward. Thank you so much for being there. Thank you so much for sticking on to your time. That means a lot. Namaste, and we'll see you soon. Until next time.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deepa. Thank you, everybody.
Welcome. So, hi Maria, hi Zina. Sapna, you can probably step out and leave the room while Zina and Maria can remain.
Sure.
Yeah? Thanks, Sapna. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Hi. Hi. Namaste from India.
Namaste.
And this is your moderator for today. My name is Deepa Atreya. I incidentally work with children. I work with students, and I've been working with students for over 20 years now. I'm a leadership coach for them, and it's a pleasure to have you here. And this topic for today's discussion is very, very close to my heart: emerging trends in millennial workforce. So thank you so much for being there. So for people who are watching us out here, we have two wonderful speakers for today's session. We have Maria and Zina. Okay, so Maria is basically the head of learning and organizational development at Ken Blanchard Companies in APAC. She has many, many years of experience in international industry business, experience in leadership and sales position. She has worked with several Fortune 500 companies in leadership and sales positions. She's lived across 8 countries and worked with over 40 nations. Oh my. And she's authored several books, and one of her latest book, the recent book, is The Servant Leadership Movement. Maria, I'm going to pick that up shortly as well. And she also has a radio show for herself called Purposeful Leadership. So that's Maria for us, ladies and gentlemen. Please join me in welcoming Maria here. And then we have yet another accomplished person called Zina. Okay, Zina is a trilingual social entrepreneur. She holds a bachelor's of science in international business. She holds a law degree in international public law. She holds a master's in law, LLM, as well in intellectual property and information technology, and also a postgraduate from, she holds a postgraduate certificate from the Harvard University for cybersecurity. Oh my God, Zina, is there anything else that you would want to learn? And of course, she is doing a lot of work towards connecting talent with opportunities for growth and innovation. One of her edtech platforms is called EALAI. We call it, I really don't know how to pronounce it, but in south of Tamil Nadu, that means leaf, LA. So that's why I spelled it. Zina prides herself on being a global citizen, recognizes the role of empathy, diversity, and adaptability. So we have these two wonderful women in our room today. who are going to speak up on emerging trends as far as workforce and millennials are concerned. So we exactly have 30 minutes of time. So I would each of you get about 10 minutes to speak up. I'll flag you off while the speaker one goes up and then speaker two. So I'll flag you off in 10 minutes and then move on to speaker two. And towards the end, we would have about 2 to 3 minutes to take a few questions. Hope that's okay with you. I've done enough of talking. So over to Maria first.
Is it possible to share a presentation?
I'm afraid the platform is not going to allow us to share a presentation, so you can just go ahead and speak up.
Okay.
Yes.
So what we were thinking on my perspective as an executive coach working with multinational organizations, that's what I've been focusing on so far across board, across the different regions. What I've seen so far is that the millennials are becoming older, obviously. They're entering in the age of 40s, late 30s and 40s. And so based on this trend, I think the biggest question that we need to put out there is, what does a millennial leader actually look like? Because they're rising up in the hierarchy in big, large matrix organizations. And so what actually happens is, if you look at the millennial archetype, they come from a service-oriented mindset. They come from the mindset of abundance. Likely they had parents that are Gen X, not so much older, but basically, the Gen X actually, they were more materialistic. They started to go international, but not really globalization yet. They build their careers a lot faster than their parents. And so what happens is they come already with a lot of financial support from that generation. Millennials is like, I don't have to pay that kind of dues. Having said that, what we're going to be doing is I'm going to live in the mindset of abundance. And with the mindset of abundance, I already have the financials that I need. And so if I'm looking into getting a job, salary, or whatever type of funding, that, of course, if I'm looking into the job, that needs to be the right thing first. But the deeper discussion is, who is my boss? What is the connection is this person going to give me? What is the culture of the organization? And is this worth my while? Is it meaningful? And so that's kind of like the archetype that I've seen so far in real life, but also by research. The archetype of millennials. They are getting older. They are rising up in the hierarchy if they go to MNCs. What I love about the millennials is that they were the ones that I've seen, at least here in Asia, they were spurring social entrepreneurship, which is a topic that I'm very much focused on, separately though. And they're amazing because they just went wide ahead. It's like, abundance is there, I'm going to serve. And then as they're growing older, because there's a span of 10 to 15 years in millennials, you've got the Gen Z coming up, which is quite interesting, right? So the older Gen Zs are coming into, so I'm again focusing on multinationals. They're coming into bigger organizations, getting into the matrix organizations, and they need to learn. There's a lot for them to learn. But the characteristics are a little bit similar. So the bigger gap in archetype is obviously Gen X and Gen Z, but then the millennials are closer, they're in between because they're more servant-like. The Gen Z really needs the millennials with that service attitude, because the Gen Z is, they like to be unique. They like to spend, they love brands, they love anything that is ethical, and it's very conscious driven. So in terms of purchases, but also in terms of consciousness in selecting organizations, if they have that choice. But they're primarily really looking at, what does it mean for me? And how do I actually live my life today? And what's meaningful, but at the same time, am I making a conscious choice about these things? And so what this actually looks like for organizations is that we've got to pay attention. What are the leadership skills that we need to promote, given the culture that needs to be created in the future? Because more and more, with, like the previous speaker and many of the speakers that are in these 2-day conferences, it's talking about AI and automation and all that kind of stuff. As there's a lot of research out there that shows already evidence that, even being a doctor can be automated. So we're really looking at not being able to automate, and the work that is most important is that connection work, the work that actually provides the connection, right? So leadership has to be focused on connection. And the skills needs to, the skills around leadership for the upcoming generation, if our schools are not providing those, unfortunately, still today in many countries, then our organizations have to invest on that. Forget COVID, COVID is there, but basically people are picking up in training and development already. We did have that dry season of, starting in February, COVID in Asia Pacific. So I'm focusing more on Asia Pacific. February until recently, May was horrible, because the first thing that they're thinking about is crisis like that comes up, force majeure, don't know the future, forget anything that is luxury, and training and development is luxury. So is coaching, unfortunately. But we see Europeans, for example, that with careful consideration and budgeting efforts, that learning and development is coming up. But when you see, certain states in the US, certain European countries that are more forward going in terms of running out of crisis, getting out of the crisis, that actually spurs activity also in Asia Pacific. And hopefully, from this month onwards, or actually next month onwards, there's one more week in July, that learning and development comes up again. Now, I really want to focus on the concept of servant leadership, because servant leadership is about developing others, but it's also at the same time, the leader is motivated by serving others rather than motivated because I want a title or have position power. And so it's very apt into the archetype of a millennial. And so if more millennials can actually get access to those behaviors, we simply just listening more, promoting self-learning, promoting also, powerful questions, but being there for the younger generation to groom and to develop, hand-holding in the sense that is mentoring in a friendly way, but at the same time being a coach. So those are essential skills that need to actually come forward. And more in my research shows up that those are actually equitable, but also equitable skills that Asian leaders would like to have and don't yet. And so that's a core thing. We do a lot of work in India as well. And that is coming up more and more in the urbanized areas of India. And so really, I applaud India for that as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Very insightful indeed. And what you said was so true when it comes to, I think we need to start beginning with the end in mind. So the change has to begin right from a school level, and the education system needs to go through a revolution. I'm completely with you on that. I am so tempted to pick up your book and read it. I'm going to do that. I'm a very, very voracious reader, and your title just, drew me towards your book. So I'm going to do that. Thanks, Maria. Thanks. And we'll come back to you with a few questions after we hear out Zina as well. Zina, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Z-I-N-A, Zina. Yeah. Right. So you've been having that gorgeous smile, and and we're really waiting to hear more from you on this.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Maria, and everyone who's watching this. It's really a pleasure for me to be among you. It's an honor. And it's also, I'm very glad to discuss these topics and trends and ideas so we can re-energize our enterprises for the new world. Before I start my segment, I want to tell you a story that has impacted the way I problem solve, and I use it in every field in my life. It's a story of two doctors who were completely depleted and decided to take off one weekend on a nature trip. And while they were enjoying a quiet moment of peace by the river, they heard somebody frantically screaming for help while being carried away by the river stream. In the heat of the moment, they found a close edge to reach him, collaborated, and pulled him out just in time. They then looked at each other and sensed a pleasing connectedness between each other and a certain high, a high that comes from helping people. They then heard the cries of another person and struggled to reach in and saved her as well. That person was followed by another and another and another. Soon enough, the fulfillment gave way to sheer exhaustion. At that point, one of the doctors turned to the other and said, "I'm going to see what is causing all this." He walked just a little bit up the stream and he found that there's a crazy man on the bridge throwing bystanders over the edge. Needless to say, the doctor knocked him down, and that was that. So it's important, I think, that we take a step back and take a bird's eye view of what the workplace will be looking like, the main trends in the workplace in general, and then see how millennials fit into this and how we can incentivize them, train them, and retain them within our pipelines, increase their loyalty to our organizations as this war on talent continues. In this coming future now, the workplace will be marred by fast-paced change and exponential growth. Perhaps the most noteworthy change is the speed and combination effect of technological advancement. We spoke a lot about AI, automation and robotics, Internet of Things, big data analytics, 5G and 3D printing, and they're all coming at the same time. Now, while this evolution presents an incredible opportunity for mankind to reach new horizons, the transition is going to cause a fast-paced shift, both in the way we work as well as in the technical skills required, which in many cases is going to leave some people, humans, behind with not enough support or resources to comply with the change fast enough. The workplace is going to be marred by VUCA, which is volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And because of that, character and communal contribution and compatibility are going to become attributes just as important as competence on the job because of their impact on personal and our collective effectiveness and creativity. Building human potential has to be supported by systems that ensure higher transferability of knowledge and skills, both within our collective pool and talent, as well as within specific organizations. So there is a key question here, and I think we should all gather around and try to find solutions for that, is how do organizational leaders, how in the context of their bureaucratic organizing structures, can they enable an adoption of solutions and innovation needed to thrive and survive in today's complex world? Now, we at Eli have developed an action mechanism to help organizations do that. I lost you for a little bit because I was looking at a paper. Again, every attribute that Maria has shared with us today is extremely valuable because millennials are going to be the main players in that playground. By 2025, 75% of them will be 75% of the workforce. They will hold about 62% of managing positions. Understanding their key attributes and their values and their approach to work, their philosophies of work, will help us find solutions and integrate them in the solution. So millennials, again, as Maria very eloquently presented, they value authenticity. They want to be heard and involved. They want to have a measurable impact, and they thrive in collaborative environments. They are ethnically diverse, socially conscious, and they're very tech-focused and savvy. When they buy a brand. They don't buy a product. They have to believe in the mission and what it is that this brand stands for them to develop loyalty. So their loyalty is really to their values and to not any specific organizations. Now, some organizations saw that as a negative. I see that as a positive, especially when we're moving towards such instability where we have to build our collective just as effectively as we build our own structure and organizational structure. As VUCA disrupts the workplace, we're going to see a shift to gig economy. Millennials, they thrive in gig economies. They like that flexibility because they value experiences. Their relation to work is not as, they like to work smart, not hard. So they actually appreciate this. They also thrive in collaborative environment, which means that, you know, they will do very well within the gig economy because that is an environment that they understand. They're very tech savvy and focused, which means that they will be able to use the digital space effectively to be able to find the learning and find the information they need to thrive. The only problem now that we still have is that we have outdated leadership styles within organization. The bureaucratic, one-directional way of leadership does not work very well with millennials. We have to, again, instead of focusing on the individual, focus on the social structure, social servants, again, servant leadership, as she mentioned, and develop programs that build not only leadership, but also followership skills so that people have developed multi-dimensional skill set. In times they can take a leadership position, and when needed, which is very important within collaborative environment, to also learn, even as a leader, to take a followership position and let them lead so they can learn the skill sets necessary to lead on collaborative teams. Within this environment and the gig economy and the remote structure, we're going to see that there's, well, we learned from the past that there's a lack of transparency within the gig economy. What I mean is it's very difficult for companies to recruit people effectively because there's a lack of transparency of prior skills, of the quality of their work, basically prior engagements. Who have you worked with? Transparency on prices being varied, you know. So there's a difficulty in integrating these people within their pipelines, because if you do not show me who you are, you know, if enterprises don't actually show how much they care about the community and the impact that they care to have, and they don't have that stand, that public stand of what they stand for, basically, then I don't feel like I'm loyal to you. I would rather go somewhere else where I know that they're doing an impact, and I know that within this bigger structure, I have a higher impact on society. So that's why loyalty is becoming very low within millennials, and that's why it's difficult so far to integrate them, because companies have not really mastered that, basically the ability to show themselves for who they really are. Authenticity is very important, and communicating your authenticity and your true nature as a corporation, your organizational culture is very important within the gig economy, and we need to also work on that. So the systems that we have to build have to also integrate this, you know, a way of better communication, clear communication channel, and cleaner transparency. Again, to counter the fact that we have, that it's very difficult for us to recruit people, to recruit talent, and talent is so globally dispersed now, it's even harder to understand what this person is about. We have to put quantifiable measures that are tied to leadership and fellowship programs, so we can get results from that. And from these results, we can properly assess the competence, the character, and the communal contribution of each person. So I think the millennials right now, I'm not sure how I'm doing on time.
That's okay. You have another 1 minute to go. So.
Okay. So in short, what I want to say is that our best bet at this moment is to focus on the individual and provide personalized growth opportunities for millennials, and also communicate our true nature as well. Create more transparency and communication within the workforce that will create better alignment between our needs, our corporations of recruitment, retaining, and retraining this young, bright talent, and their needs to find purpose and poise and contribution in their work. So it's very important to do that, to align needs together.
Right. So basically aligning their core purpose with the core purpose and mission of the organization, they're getting them to merge, align them, and then take it forward and look at their personalized needs, work on their personalized needs as well. As that's right. In your closing statement, right?
Yes, definitely. Transparency is very important for trust to be established, and from both sides, we need to understand, both sides want to know what is their competence, what is the character, even of this organization, and what is their communal contribution.
Okay. So great. So thank you so much for your wonderful insights. And in fact, this session has been quite meaningful for me as well, since I work with a lot of Gen Z and preparing them for tomorrow. You know, I work with students, so I work with students up to grade 12, and then they get into college, and we prepare them to place into the future. So this has been absolutely insightful for me and for all the attendees who are watching this live right now. There are a few questions that have come up, and I just thought I should summarize them and shoot it out as one question. So the question to each of you, if you could, each of you can make a one-line statement and answer this, is what is that one thing that motivates a millennial to stay on at work? Okay, is it work-life balance? Is it a tech-driven work environment? Or is it flexi work hours? Is it money? Or is it the money that they get, the pay that they get? Or is it the core purpose of what they want to do in life? What is it that excites a millennial to stay back and at work? So that's the question that's come out to you. So probably, Maria, you can take this question, and then I'll get Zina also to give her thoughts on this.
Thank you. So I would look at the three basic psychological needs of a human being, right? And it tends to shift from person to person, but also through the experience of interacting with millennials who are now actually going into executive coaching, it actually tends to shift as well. So the three basic psychological needs are autonomy, competence, and relatedness. Relatedness being relationships, bonding with each other, interpersonal relationships. And, yours would be different from mine if I asked, the three of them, what is your priority? But the fact is, if one of them is at zero, that basically means if you're not receiving it in that relationship in the organization, for example, working with your leader, or working with the people that you're, in your communal, like Zina was saying, communal contribution in the team. If you have one of them below optimal or suboptimal, then you have a tendency to feel lack. And because it's a basic psychological need, we all have multiple psychological needs, but these are basic foundation, the three of them. If one of them is flickering, going below standard, then what's going to happen is that that person doesn't feel right. And over a long period of time, that's just not sustainable for the person. So I would actually come from looking at what are the key basic psychological needs in a pattern. Like Zina was saying, you really need to study them in the culture that you're working with. Because if there's a particular craving for relationship, and like Dina was saying, very good examples, bureaucratic leadership styles, it's not going to support that type of, psychological needs of relationship. If they prioritize it as the top one, then that's not going to work. So it's really important for us to really look at, the culture that we're working in, researching internally in terms of, serving what's serving you, what's not serving you, and then really create an environment that is cultivating people to thrive based on their needs.
Mm-hmm. So true. So a lot of study and analogy needs to go into creating your own workforce culture and motivate, which will probably motivate a millennial to stay on, and depends on what kind of talent that you want to pull into your organization. So that's amazing. Zina, your take on my question. So what actually motivates a millennial to stay on? Is it work-life balance? Is it a tech-driven workforce? Is it flexi time? Or is it money? Or is it the core purpose of aligning their core purpose with that of the company?
Right. Because you said one sentence, I would have to go with having an impact. First, positive impact on self. Once these needs are satisfied, then it's like you think about the organization. What is my impact within this organization? And how does that organization fulfill my social leadership and social consciousness, basically, desires and impact? Like, do they support the same causes that I support? Do they care about the same things? Do they have the mission that is aligned with my core purpose? Which I think is very nice, actually. I think they're very unconsciously spiritual. They've grown with the understanding that, you know, we have maybe the generation before them maybe has not addressed climate change the way they should have. They have all this information at their reach, and that has helped them build a social conscious mind frame, basically. So I think having an impact and being heard and being able to give is something that they value, and giving them that opportunity will help them and will help everybody, basically.
Absolutely. I mean, that's completely a wonderful perspective to look at. I think both of you emphasized a lot on the fact that the millennials, the Gen Z, are going to be more socially responsible as well. And that is one of their key needs is to, you know, look at sustainable living. At the same time, be absolutely socially responsible and conscious of a lot of things. And I personally have a lot of students who fight for climate change and who do some phenomenal work. During lockdown, they have been planting kitchen gardens, motivating others to plant kitchen gardens at home, make their own green space. They've been getting to get students have been asking their parents to avoid plastics at home. So plastics are getting really, you know, taken away, and they're getting replaced with steel and copper and other utensils. So it feels good to have, it really feels good to work with young millennials. And I feel they really have a lot of energy in them, and we need to channelize the whole thing. So thank you so much for being there. Thank you. It was a pleasure having you with us. And we, as part, on behalf of the WEF Bangalore Digital Summit team, I would like to confer the iconic Women of Creating a Better Tomorrow for All Award 2020 to both Maria and Zina. As I was telling earlier, I would have loved to come and give you a hug and give you the award, but you know, we're going to cope with this. We're going to cope with this new normal, and we're going to ace this, I'm sure. So an official email will follow. Thank you so much for being there. It's amazing to have wonderful humans like you, first of all, and then, you know, for first, the core of any existence is being growing to be a wonderful human. So thank you so much for being there. Thank you so much for these awesome insights. And yes, we stay connected, and I'll get to know more about you as well. And you've been receiving raving reviews from the attendees and the audience as well. So thank you. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you, Deepa. And lovely to meet you, Zina.
Nice to meet you too, Maria.
Yeah, let's stay in touch, okay? Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye. See you.
Big hugs, big hugs. Bye.
Bye. I guess we should just leave the room now. There's a leave button, and we just need to. That's fine.